Thank you for coming out tonight. I had no idea we'd have a backup band.
Wow. They sound great though.
They are really good. So if you can't hear us, let us know. All right? I really wasn't counting on that, but it's cool. They are really good. So thank you for coming. I appreciate this. I would hope to get every mayoral candidate up here. Yeah. And you were the first.
Thank you for having me.
So this is semi-scripted, but I'll say that Yogi Berra, better known for his malapropisms than his baseball playing, famously said, "I just want to thank everyone who made this day necessary," when he was honored by the St. Louis Cardinals when he came to town in 1947. And there are a lot of people who have very serious thoughts and feelings about the state of San Francisco, and there are a lot of ways to express those thoughts and feelings. And I would like to know, Daniel, why for you is it necessary to address those thoughts and feelings specifically by running for mayor?
First, I want to thank you all for being here. I also want to apologize in advance for turning my back to this side of the room. At times I will try to address everybody. And Joe, thank you for having me. For me, if you've read a little bit about me, my kids go to school 2 blocks from here.
Mm-hmm.
And it started for me, this decision, in June, walking my kids across the street at 14th and Valencia and seeing a man in a state of real illness, screaming and naked at 8:05 in the morning. And my 2 kids, I have a 12-year-old daughter, 9-year-old son, looked at me, and they didn't say anything. But they looked at me, and I could tell they were like, what is going on? And you're the tipping point guy. Mm-hmm. You're the guy that's been tackling issues of poverty. You've been telling us about homelessness. And here we have someone right in front of us that is not well, and we're doing nothing about it, and we're gonna keep walking to school. And it was in that moment that I realized that I had more to do, because what we keep seeing all across this city and in this country is everybody blaming everybody else for all of our failures. And what we're seeing on the streets, what we're seeing right around here, as I walked up the street here, 6 people doing drugs, 25 yards from here, it's on all of us. It's all of our fault. And as your mayor, as your next mayor, I am going to own it. I am going to be responsible. And that's how I think about running. It's going to take all of us, but I'm going to take ownership and responsibility.
Now, very sadly, people in very public distress in San Francisco is not new. And you know this better than many. You worked trying to remedy the homeless crisis for many years. Why now? What now has led you to this moment that it wasn't before?
There was a moment where a lot of people approached me after the unfortunate passing of our mayor, Ed Lee. There was a 2 or 3 week moment where I thought about it. And I saw Mayor Breed step up. At that time, my daughter was 6, 7 years old, and I was really excited. I thought, here is a woman from our city that my daughter gets to see as our mayor, and I was excited, and I wanted her to succeed. And we can all see with our own eyes, things are not working. And we have a system led by people that have been part of this entrenched system for far too long. And I really believe that we can all see that we have a crisis on our streets. We have a crisis of confidence in this city. We all know the stories. If you travel outside the city, if you go to the East Coast or you go to any other city, nationally or internationally, and you ask and you tell people where you're from, and you tell them you're from San Francisco, now it's, are you okay? Or are you safe? Before, it was, oh, that's my favorite city in the world. That's my next trip. I want to go get married there. We should all feel proud about San Francisco. And I'm running because I want my kids to feel as proud about being from San Francisco as I've always been. And so now is the time.
So it sounds to me like you're not just saying San Francisco needs a new mayor, that San Francisco needs a new mayor and systemic change.
That's correct. I mean, we have a broken, dysfunctional bureaucracy. I've seen some people describe it as, a 175-year-old company, 33,000 employees. We have had years and years of red tape put on top of red tape, much of it done by the people that I will be running against. And we need change at all levels. And so this argument that somehow, and you've made this argument many times, somehow that this is only one part of our system, whether it's just the Board of Supervisors, or it's the DA, or it's the police chief. It starts with the leader of our city. It starts with the mayor, and it goes on down. And so I believe we need change at all levels.
Can you explain why you are the person to bring about systemic change? This is not an intuitive choice.
Well, for you, it's not intuitive. Joe, I have a track record of getting big things done. I have a track record of bringing people together from all walks of life. I started Tipping Point. I have people that have voted for far right candidates and far left candidates on my board. We got together to find and fund great nonprofits that are executing, that we hold accountable, that have a demonstrated track record of getting results. I was asked by Mayor Lee to run Super Bowl 50 and get the bid for Super Bowl 50, or be the bid chairman. I had to go out and campaign against Miami, who, by the way, we've been losing to over the last few years. Had to go out and win the bid, pitch San Francisco, and we won it. We executed a very good event, so good that Super Bowl 60 is coming back. We brought $240 million of economic revenue to the San Francisco Bay Area. We made it the most philanthropic and giving Super Bowl ever, $13 million back into the community. We made it about community first. And then another thing I'll tell you about that, and back on the Super Bowl, I had to work with the mayors of San Jose, Oakland, San Francisco to get that event pulled off. So I know how to bring people together from all over this region. And finally, the housing project that we got built at 833 Bryant. 146 unit building. No one thought we could get this done. We got it done on time, under budget, with good paying union labor. 146 unit building, done $377,000 a unit. No one thought it was possible, and we got it done. So when I make a promise, when I say I'm gonna do something, I get it done, and I bring a diverse group of people together to do it.
What does systemic change look like with regard to San Francisco? As you mentioned, a city that has 35,000 employees, and it has the budget it has, and it has the problems it has. What does systemic change even begin to look like?
It starts with a new way of governing. It starts with holding our department heads accountable. And not just the department heads, but the departments. It looks like having a small business czar. For every department that touches small business, there is someone that is responsible for talking, if issues come up from building or planning that prevents our small businesses from getting things done and opening up their shops. I mean, we've all read all of these stories about ice cream shops and bakeries taking a year, 2 years just to get their permits. We are going to have a small business czar in charge of that. We are going to have a downtown czar in charge of revitalizing our downtown core. Currently, we have, and God bless them, but we have 7, 8, 9, 10 different groups looking at how do we revitalize downtown. There's no leadership in this city. There is no one place for people to go. I talked to a friend at one of those groups, and they were talking about having like a group meeting to go through all these ideas instead of having one person in charge. And so we're going to restructure the mayor's office. We're going to hold our department heads accountable. If they're not able to get the job done, we're going to find new department heads.
So who are you going to fire? Who are you going to fire?
I'm not going to get into that now, but it's people are going to be held accountable. People are going to be held accountable.
There's nobody that you think that is underperforming and needs to go? There's nobody who's been in government too long and has worn out their welcome?
I think there's a number of people, and I'm not going to get there is simply there's a lot of people that we need to look at.
And who would you like to see go? I mean, yes, but
yeah, we're going to start with the mayor, and that's where else. That's how I'm going to answer that question.
All right, fair enough. Now I saw you.
And by the way, the reason I'm answering that question is because I'm going to sit down with every department head when I walk in. Mm-hmm. We're going to have a game plan, and we're going to have metrics laid out, and I'm going to walk in with a team of people that you all will know about before Election Day, so you know who my 5-10 people are that are going to help us turn around a great American city. We're going to have proven track records in other cities or in this city of getting things done, and we're going to hold people accountable. I would have to sit down and interview every single department head, and they'd have to apply for their jobs again.
Do you remember Ed Riskin?
I mean, I did not spend much time with Ed, but I know
you remember.
the name.
So Ed was a very brilliant man, and also, to skip ahead, like what people tell me about you, seen as a good man and a generous man and a kindly man. But he didn't know transit, and the transit people within Muni were able to snow him. Do you worry that not having been in government, that you would be susceptible to being snowed by these department heads?
No, because the people I'm going to have around me, I've always had great people around me. I'm going to walk in with a team. You will all know who they are before, and we're going to hold people accountable. I'm going to have people that have a proven track record also of getting big things done. I'm going to hold people accountable. I'm not worried about being snowed. We continue to hear about different commissioners that apparently snowed the incumbent mayor and are still on commissions. That will not be me.
I mean, if you're thinking about who I'm thinking about, with the majority of the Board of Supervisors, they could get rid of that guy. But that's neither here nor there. Do you have any idea who these top men are going to be?
Or women?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm quoting from Raiders of the Lost Ark, but
I'm talking to people all over this country and all over this city and every corner of this city. We have had an interim head of Department of Public Works for almost 4 years or over 4 years.
January 2020. Yeah.
2020. Is that right? We need to hire the best. We have the ability to pay people really well. I think a lot of people have lost confidence in City Hall, and I'm not just going to talk about the mayor. They've lost confidence in the bureaucracy, how broken the system is, and a lot of people don't want to work there. That's why we need leadership from the outside. We need also someone with hope and optimism, someone that is doing this job for the reasons that I will be doing it for, and that is because I love this town. I have no interest in higher office. I'm not going to use this as a stepping stone. I know some people have said to me that that's a bad thing to say, that people don't want to attach their cart to your horse. My plan is to do this for the next 9 years. 1 year of campaigning, 8 years as your mayor, and then I'm out. That is my desire. I only want to turn around this city. I want to be proud to be from San Francisco again. And I know all of you want that as well. And right now, we're just getting in our own way. We have leaders that care more about politics than people. And it's evident to everybody. Everyone sees it. And so, you and I talked before, called me a nice, kind man. I appreciate that. People have said, how, nice, kind people, they can't do this job. That's not true. And I'm going to prove it to you all.
What are you going to do about petty crime?
I'm sorry, please. So, I imagine the mayor's number one line of attack is going to be to contrast her upbringing with your own. But number two is going to be to point out that in 2017 you pledged to cut San Francisco homelessness in half in 5 years via tipping point, and that didn't happen. How are you going to defend yourself against this certain line of attack?
Where do you want me to start, first or second?
Both.
The first one, my daughter came home from school a couple nights ago, and we were talking about choice and chance. My circumstances as a kid were chance. I didn't have a choice. I had chance, and I am incredibly grateful for the opportunities that I've been given. I'm proud of the legacy of my stepfather's company, Levi Strauss. I'm proud of the values of that iconic San Francisco company. And I ask everybody to judge me based on the choices that I've made. I have chosen a life of service to my community. Tipping Point being, and before that I worked at a place called the Robin Hood Foundation in New York City, focused on fighting poverty in New York City. Before that I worked for Bill Bradley, whose central theme in his presidential campaign in 1999 and 2000 was poverty. Everything I've done in my life is about serving people, providing opportunities for others, trying to get everybody an opportunity just like I had those opportunities. And so it's going to be up to you all, the voters, to decide whether or not that's okay or not. But I'm proud, and I will stand on my record and of the choices I've made in my life. We pledged to cut chronic homelessness by 50% over 5 years with a $100 million initiative. So we didn't say all homelessness, and actually how that came about was we saw Salesforce and Mark Benioff really taking on family homelessness. We saw the US government taking on the issue of veterans homelessness, and we wanted to tackle the most challenging issue, which is chronic homelessness, people being out on the street for more than a year, multiple disabling conditions, whether drug addiction or alcohol abuse or mental health issues. We partnered, that funding was private. We raised a $100 million fund that we deployed over a 5-year period. Half of that money went to building 833 Bryant on time, under budget. Once again, we handed the city on a platter a model of how we get housing built in this city. We should be taking that model and building workforce and middle income housing for our teachers, for our nurses. We should look at doing it for our firefighters and our police officers, because 80% of our police officers live outside of San Francisco. So we have done, last year alone, we prevented at Tipping Point, and I can't say we because I'm no longer engaged or involved in the company, but we prevented 6,000 people from either falling into homelessness or we helped them get out of homelessness. No one foresaw a pandemic hitting, but we actually, I will say the federal government, with the child tax credit and all the aid that came out, we actually reduced poverty in this country a great deal. And so there's actually a lot to be proud of during that last 5-6 years. Are we satisfied with what we did around cutting chronic homelessness? No. I think we dropped it by 13%. Wish it would have been 50. We got more work to do.
Now let's go back to what you were saying. You know, when I do talk to people who work with you, they don't doubt your intentions and they don't doubt your honesty. But that's not politics in San Francisco. And I would ask, you know, your character is not under question here, but what in your constitution has prepared you for a very mean process and a very destructive process, not just of running for this job, but running this city?
My skin is getting thicker by the moment. This is the first time I've been in a public setting with one of our most talented journalists in the city grilling me. I'm prepared because I care about this city. I care about getting the job done. I care about everybody on the streets, and I care about all of our people not on the streets. I guess you're gonna have to watch and see, but I'm ready. I'm fired up. I'm having fun, by the way. Like, people all week long, I'll tell you, I went to a friend's house, and he was like, I'm inviting some people from my kid's school. We'll have 20, 30 people, 100 people crammed into this spot. My friend Danielle had an event at a North Beach bar. She said to me the day before, we're gonna have 15, 20 people there. 51 people showed up. I know Manny has had this room much more packed than this, but people are hungry for change. They want leadership. They want leadership from the outside. You all are here because you care deeply. I've never seen San Francisco more engaged, more fired up. I mean, we're more than a year out from the election, and we're getting crowds like this. And so that strengthens my resolve. And some former a politician in the city, I won't name him, said to me, this is gonna rekindle your love for San Francisco, this campaign. And it has. I'm going to places that, I would have gone as a kid, but I haven't been to for a while. Spending a lot of time in the Sunset and the Richmond and West Portal. I was in the Mission all morning, and we got a great city. And so everybody talks about, how tough this campaign is, like knife fight in a phone booth. Good. I mean, listen, I know they're going to come after me. You just have to look out the window and see that they're coming after me. And people they don't know my name and they're coming after me. So I'm good. I'm ready for it. So bring it on.
Now you're 46. You've lived in the city pretty much your whole life. When was the last time we had a good mayor? And who would you emulate?
I would point to are mayors that don't make excuses. You gotta look at Willie as someone that got stuff done. Whatever you think of him, he got stuff done. I saw Mayor Newsom up close. He took tough positions. He took positions on gay marriage, for example, where everyone in the Democratic Party said that's a bad idea. Don't do it. And he did it. It was a bold choice, a bold move, and now, we all know that was. I knew then it was the right move, but that's the type of leadership boldness that we need again.
Have you criticized the inefficiency, the scleroticism, the corruption of San Francisco government before the present day?
In
a public forum?
As the head of the largest nonprofit in San Francisco and in the Bay Area, we've raised over $500 million to tackle issues of poverty. It was our job, and actually, I'd say about 5-6 years in the homelessness initiative that we talked about earlier was sort of our first foray into policy. It was our job to work with government. It was our job to test ideas, test solutions, and then hand them off to government to scale. We never took a dollar from the government. It was all privately financed, just to be very clear about that. But we wanted to work, and so our critiques and our criticisms were always quietly done. It was not publicly done. As the CEO of one of the largest philanthropic organizations on the West Coast or in the country, going after mayors and supervisors was not our preferred method of making change.
Well, this brings me to, you had said you want to be proud of San Francisco again. What I'm wondering here is, how many of San Francisco's problems are new? I mean, this you could talk about as a matter of scale, but many of the things we're seeing now are not new.
I think the level of petty crime, the level of smash and grabs, the level of disorder that we're feeling on these streets, I do think is new. I think the idea, I had a friend tell me that he walked into a Walgreens 3 nights ago, saw someone go get trash bags in one aisle, and then went to the food section and just started piling food in. And he got so upset that he went to the security guard. Security guard's like, I can't do anything about it. That is new. I don't think we've seen this type of boldness, this type of there are no consequences. I haven't seen it in my 46 years. Have we gone through tough times before? Absolutely. And by the way, we're going to get out of this. We are coming back. San Francisco's best days are ahead of it. But you asked me what's going on now. I haven't seen this type of, where small business owners tell me that they have a pack ready for their clients who are coming in to shop, and when they leave, they come back because their windows have been smashed in their car, and they have a pack ready to go with plastic and duct tape, and it happens 4, 5, 6 times a week at one small business on the north side of town. That is new. The fentanyl crisis, it is new. 3 people are dying a day in our city. We have 900 people. You talk about departments. I want to know what the Department of Public Health is doing. I really do. I think that we have real issues. Grant, I think, did a great job during COVID, but I would love to know about how we have a continuum of care from harm reduction, which I support, to recovery, which we have not been funding. We've had no beds for recovery. We've had no psychiatric emergency beds, or very few of them. We've spent much more money on harm reduction and very little dollars on recovery. That needs to change. That we swung so far to one side, and by the way, we shouldn't pit those 2 groups against each other. It's a continuum of care for a reason. And so yes, I think we're seeing things that I've never seen before.
Continuing on policy here, you were very vocal regarding the mayor's 2 ballot proposals. I wrote it down here. With regard to undoing facial recognition camera bans and making it easier for police to engage in high-speed chases with someone who stole cough syrup from the Walgreens, you accused the mayor of, quote, pointing fingers at a commission and police department she already controls and, quote, passing the buck. And with regard to her proposal to compel welfare recipients to undergo drug testing on pain of potentially losing housing and money, you accused her of, quote, dangerous headline chasing and a recipe for, quote, increasing crime and putting more desperate people on our streets. I'd like you to go a little bit further and tell us why are these bad policies? Why is the mayor proposing?
On the allowing the police to do their job, I didn't say it was bad policy. I questioned the timing of what and when she said it. Very interesting that it was a couple weeks after my announcement. As we all know, the city is very upset about. We got a lot of music going now. This is great. Listen, if there are common sense reforms, if there are common sense ways to get our police from behind the desk out in the field, I'm a supporter of common sense ideas wherever they come from. So if it comes from the mayor, great.
Yeah. Little earthquake. Yeah. Yeah.
You guys good?
Yeah.
The San Franciscans are all good.
We're good.
We're good.
I'm just thinking about my 2 kids at home. That's what I'm thinking about right now. I don't know.
This was one of the ones where you get up to go into the door and it's already over.
Good. So I question the timing of that police bill. In terms of drug testing GA recipients, her own Trent Rohr actually said the next day, there's a poison pill in this, and we can't implement this policy because we don't have the beds. I mean, those were her own department head's response to her very quickly put together news conference, which I do believe was chasing headlines. What I want to stress to everybody is that we need more recovery beds and more treatment beds. Currently, if you drug test somebody, which would be voluntary, and they go in, they get drug tested, and they want to go into treatment, or you force them into treatment, we don't have the infrastructure. Health Rate 360, a San Francisco funded nonprofit, a San Francisco government funded nonprofit, turns away 50% of the people that want treatment. So now we're going to add 5,000 more people without the ability to treat them. Let's first get the beds up. Let's, like I said, about the recovery, the continuum of care, let's get more recovery beds up online, and then let's talk. But right now we know, you wrote about this, Joe. Right now we have a mayor that's politics, not policy. But just to be clear on the police thing, I want a fully staffed police department. I want our police walking the beat in corridors like Valencia Street and Chinatown and Market Street.
And Sunset.
You're good.
Everybody.
Right, I just hadn't finished the list of the neighborhoods. What we need is a fully staffed police department so that we don't just have 3 cars patrolling the Richmond district where there's 100,000 citizens. We have 3 patrol cars on a good day out there, according to the chief out there. So you interjected about petty crimes, smash and grabs, small businesses. If you have cops walking the beat in these neighborhoods all over the city, then people are less likely to commit a
That's
crime.
right.
You don't want to get caught. Right now, criminals don't think they're going to get caught, and if they do get caught,
That's right.
our judges also are not holding them accountable. In many, especially those that are dealing fentanyl and dealing drugs and killing our citizens.
Well, let me get back to that. If it was a matter of timing here, do you think that it's a good idea? Do you think that the solution to rampant property crime is that police should chase people throughout the city in a high-speed chase?
I said we need a visible police presence, because if you have that, you are less likely for crime to happen in the first place. But to be clear, not every situation calls for somebody with a badge and a gun, especially what we're seeing on our streets that you and I talked about earlier. We need hot teams, we need case managers, we need a place for people to go. You have to have a carrot and a stick. Right now, all we have is carrots in terms of just, and because we don't have beds for people. We do not have the beds for people that are suffering with mental health, with drug addiction on our streets. So I'm not suggesting that we want cops chasing people over the street, but I want cops on the beat. I want cops in every neighborhood, because when I go talk to elderly Chinese in the Richmond and the Sunset, they're scared to leave their homes, Joe. Their kids, their grandkids are telling me that they're so isolated that they're atrophying. That's a word that someone told me. They're atrophying in their homes. I've had 2 kids, 14 years old and 12 years old, over the last 3 weeks, tell me their bus ride on Muni to school each morning is scared. Not okay. So we have all these different ambassador programs. Why not have an ambassador program on Muni? Why not make our kids and our families feel safe sending their kids to school each morning on Muni? And yes, I think we need to support our police officers, and we have an oversight committee. We should always hold them accountable, but we also need to support our police.
Should we be voting on police equipment procedure as the mayor wants us to?
On the technology,
I mean, this is not unlike us voting on tasered policy a few years ago, which lost resoundingly. But I mean, is it even a good government move for us to vote on something like this?
I think if as long as we have a police commission, and I do think that a mayor, our current mayor, did pick 4 of the 7 commissioners, to be very clear. I do think you wrote about commission reform. I do believe we need commission reform. Anytime you can't count the number of commissions that you have in a city, I think you need some reform. I don't think a mayor's appointees should have to go through the Board of Supervisors and them interview them and be able to nix them. So I think a mayor should have their 4 appointees. But apparently, this one person that we've talked about flipped on her, is what she says, or didn't tell her the truth. I don't know. It's just one more.
Say their name. Say their name.
I would guess you're referring to Max Carter Oberstone.
Well, that's who she's talked about. Yes, as flipping. I'm not sure what that means. I was not part of the interview process of him. I don't know where they got into a
Do we
disagreement.
need to change the process of how these things are done because she couldn't vet her candidate?
Yeah. Well, all I'm saying on the commission reform is, if a mayor gets 4 picks and the supervisors get 3 picks, the mayor should get the 4 picks. She didn't complain about the 4 picks until now. And let's be very clear about this board of supervisors and this mayor. We cut funding. We defunded the police. $120 million was cut. We had training
But more
costs.
went back. The police have the highest budget now they've ever had.
recently. Yes. No. So I'm just saying we've had like some yo-yoing going back and forth on where we are, and I'm making, I think, the same point you're making. So no, I don't think voters. I think the police chief and the mayor should be in charge of the safety, and then we vote on them, or we vote them in, or we vote them out.
And do you buy into the thesis that's circulating around now that the mayor isn't powerful enough?
No.
Explain to me why not. You were quick on that one.
I think have the supervisors chipped away at the power? Yes. This commission reform that we talked about, I think there's some good ideas in the report that you mentioned in your recent article. One thing I would say is if you have 4 picks, you have 4 picks, and they don't have to go through 5 hours of interviews with Board of Supervisors, 10 hours. But you got to repeat the question. I just lost my train of thought. The music got to me.
Is
I felt the music.
Is the mayor not powerful enough? Does the mayor need more power?
I think this mayor has chosen the DA, the city attorney. She's appointed 4 school board members, 3 supervisors over her time.
And a partridge in a pear tree. Yes.
And the mayor puts a $14.6 billion on the budget on the table, and the Board of Supervisors fight over 0.2% of it. Do the Board of Supervisors cause this mayor problems? Yes, of course. That's what they're there for. Like, every mayor from Willie to Gavin to Ed, who I knew they always complain, but they usually complain mostly behind the scenes. They didn't make their whole political being about get me a new Board of Supervisors or I can't do the job. And just to be really clear, this mayor's been in power for 5.5 years. And guess where she was before that? The Board of Supervisors. She was the president of the Board of Supervisors for 3 years. So, people ask, oh, you don't have the experience, you don't have the inside knowledge. Well, we have somebody in charge who has the ultimate in inside knowledge, and look at the results that we're getting.
Let me shift back to the mayor's policies here. Are you against compelling people into drug testing?
No, I think we need. I like where the governor's going with care court. I think we need to compel people into care. Full stop. Not in all circumstances, but what we're seeing on our streets requires us once again to have more beds, to compel people into treatment. I love the program the Salvation Army is embarking on. I think we need to support those type of recovery options, and sometimes you need to force people into treatment. Not in every case, but I do believe that we have to compel. This drug, this fentanyl, is a game changer. It is so different than anything we have seen, that it requires us to take care of people, because what we're seeing on our streets, there's nothing progressive about that. And I understand the civil liberties issue and the civil rights issue, but people are dying on our streets in record numbers, and we have to try a different approach.
But not safe consumption sites.
Right now, I want a continuum of care where we have harm reduction and we have recovery. I want our streets cleaned up. I want to end the open air drug dealing. And then let's have that conversation. Right now, we saw with the Lincoln Center, which was a safe injection site, where we had safe injection site inside and we had safe injection outside. I believe strongly in harm reduction, but not so much that you're forgetting about taking, you gotta keep people alive to get them into recovery. And safe injection sites, let's have that discussion after we clean up our streets and end the open air drug dealing and open drug use on our streets.
So you're open to it?
Yes, but not right now. I want to get control of our streets right now.
When have we ever had control of our streets?
Well, we've lost control in downtown. Once again, there's a level of disorder the likes of which we have not seen on the streets of San Francisco, and it's we could talk about just the Tenderloin and how it's always been a containment zone. What we're seeing now spread into other neighborhoods in the Mission, go out to Sunset and the Richmond, people are seeing open air drug use. Once again, 2 blocks away, 6 people in that same week that I talked about my kids walking across the street, there were 6 people smoking fentanyl in front of a school and across from another school. So that has to end first, and then let's talk about safe injection sites.
Where are you gonna put those people?
We'll get there.
Not
We'll
in
get
safe
there.
injection sites?
So, in a candidate race, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, candidates strive to distinguish themselves.
Mhm.
And the mayor is distinguishing herself by the amazing things that she's putting on the ballot for us to vote for. How are you distinguishing yourself?
I'm going to tell people about my track record of getting big things done. And when I say I'm going to do something, I get them done. And we have seen an administration that says a lot of things, and there's a lot of failed promises. And I understand it's election year. By the way, another point to us, a mayor having a lot of power, 3 things on the ballot in March. That's a lot of power invested in somebody. She can just put something on the ballot. That's a pretty big, powerful tool, by the way.
In fact, the report that said that the mayor wasn't powerful enough said that you shouldn't be allowed to do that.
So, I think I have to go out and tell my story. This is, week 4 of my campaign. Oh,
Oh,
you can't
we
hear
weren't
us.
close
Sorry.
enough to the microphone. I understand.
Apologies. How's the music back there? It's good. Okay. I think I have a track record of getting big things done, and I think if you hear about someone that got a building built in 3 years, on time, under budget, if you see about someone that brought a global sporting event to this region and built a team from 0 to 60 people, we had to raise $60 million. We made it the most giving Super Bowl ever. Just look at what I did with Tipping Point. And when the North Bay fires hit, our neighbors up north were really struggling. A lot of business leaders circled around me, and together with 90 companies and nonprofit organizations, Tipping Point was at the center. We put an emergency relief fund together. We had a concert at AT&T. Well, it was then AT&T Park. Metallica headline. We had Dead and Company. We had a 40,000 person concert that we pulled off 6 weeks after those fires. We put our first responders up front at that concert. We raised $17 million that night. We continued to raise money. We raised $35 million in a 2-month period. We got $35 million out the door into a region that we had never funded in. Because we partnered, we found the right people. I'm telling you, what differentiates me from anybody else in the race is that when big things need to get done, I get it done and I deliver.
Going back to politics, do you worry, even though you've made good arguments about what I guess you would characterize as fecklessness of some of the things that the mayor has just proposed, do you worry that this was a trap and that you have entered that trap and this was just a means of shoring up her rightward voters and now they're not looking to you?
I saw your Eric J quote. Eric, he's a smart man. I'm not sure what trap you're referring to. I don't think this mayor wanted me to enter this race.
But you have entered the race, and,
yes,
and now you can't. She's driven to the right, and you can't go around her.
Everybody. This is what's and Joe, you are one of the really smart ones. So I say this with all respect. Like, every reporter wants to put me in a bucket. They want to put me on the right or the left. Everyone in this room is tired of that. They want clean streets. Like, literally, just clean the streets. They want people off the streets and into shelter beds or into treatment. They don't care about progressives or moderates. I have sat in the Castro with 20 people, all voted for Mark Leno for mayor. And I've sat in, in the north side of town. Everybody was a London Breeze supporter. And guess what? All of them are upset with the state of San Francisco. All of them want more public safety. They want to feel safe getting on the bus, having their kids walk to school. They want their small businesses not to be graffitied and their windows smashed. they all want the same things. They don't care if you're a moderate or a progressive. They want somebody to get things done. And so, Trav, I'm not running against this mayor. I know people say you're always running against people. I'm running for San Francisco. And I'm running for turning our great city around, and we will be amazing again.
Do it.
This is my last question, and then I will go to some of the audience questions, which is, you have said that without course change, our children will not love San Francisco as we do. And I want you to explain to me what that you can articulate about your love for this city, and what do we risk losing?
I think without the leadership that this city desperately needs, we risk losing it. I think with leadership, we're going through one of the worst times I've seen, but we are going to come out of it. I mean, listen, we have some great parks. Some of our neighborhoods are thriving. Our downtown is not. Parts of the Mission are not where we are sitting right now. But we are, I mean, look at this room. We got jazz going outside. I mean, we're the most inclusive, diverse city in the world. Like, our values are strong. The one thing that I will tell you that we have going for us, and I'll fight anybody, those people that move to Miami or Texas, they have to realize that they're living in Florida and they're living in Texas. We're living in the greatest state in the country, and we are suffering right now, and we will come back.
So those are the questions that I wrote, and I will open up, and whoever wrote all of the questions in one place, that's very useful, thank you. This question says, how often do you ride Muni, and which lines?
I drive a lot, and I bike a little bit, and I need to ride Muni more. But the two kids going to ballet and soccer at 8 a.m. tomorrow, I have to be in San Jose with my son. He has practice out in Excelsior, and then I have to get to ballet pickup by 7. My daughter's taking the bus now, and I need to do more of it.
This question asks, what would you do about the situation at the 24th Street BART Plaza?
The markets, what's the...
Just general chaos.
How about the 16th and the 24th?
Yeah.
I think we need to shut down the sales. I mean, the mornings in the Mission on 16th and 24th are pretty chaotic, and we cannot have, we have businesses that are paying, $20,000 and spending 6 months going through planning to put a gate up to prevent their windows, and then, we have people that are not going through any of that being able to sell. I think for the sake of the small businesses on our corridors, we need to close those.
And this question, I'm going to try and distill it, essentially says, do you worry about splitting the moderate vote, and would you be all right if your candidacy resulted in Mayor Aaron Peskin?
I get that question a lot. We're 12 months out. I'm going to focus on my candidacy, getting out to every corner of the city and telling people why I'm the best candidate and why I'll be a great mayor for this city. And that's my focus right now.
This question says, what do you think of our current Board of Supervisors system of district elections, and would you support reform to run at-large elections?
I've read all the different reports. I've talked to former mayors that feel like, I think there's pros and cons to both. I think you have, the problem with district elections is that people don't think about the whole city. They think about their own little bastion and their own little fiefdom. I'm not strongly in favor or opposed to modifying it. I think you talked about that report. I think it's worth considering. Past mayors have said that they liked it when they could run against a supervisor and talk to them about citywide issues. I think we have too many little fiefdoms, just like our department heads have their fiefdoms, and there's no coordination around those. We have supervisors that don't think citywide, and I do think that's a problem.
This is germane to where we are. How will you make the streets safe for cyclists and pedestrians?
I think we need to. Manny, Manny and I have talked about what's going on right here on Valencia. I like the idea of trying different approaches, but we need a citywide plan. We need Muni to work. We need mobility. I believe mobility equals freedom. I believe that our seniors need to be able to get on a bus. I think we need a plan for the entire city instead of not to knock Manny's work on Valencia Street. I like that we're trying things, but
Everybody hates it.
I don't think everybody hates it, by the way. But
I like
we need a comprehensive plan citywide, and we can't do this piecemeal.
This is the last question. It says, your lived experience is clearly very different than that of the average San Franciscan. How can you assure us that you're in touch with what everyday San Franciscans care about?
Yeah, it's absolutely a fair question, and I'll tell you that I'm out every day, in every corner of the city, talking to everyone, whether they be a member of labor, a small business owner, big business owner, a nonprofit executive, a CBD head. I've spent a lot of time with a lot of CBD heads who understand what's going on in the streets, and me rolling up my sleeves like I do all the time is how I will be as mayor. I'm going to walk the streets. I'm going to walk them with our police officers. I'm going to walk it with our nonprofit leaders. I'm going to walk it with our, those people at the CBDs who are in charge of picking up the trash. I'm going to be on the ground every single day. I will not be a mayor that sits in room 200, gets in their Suburban and goes from one event to the other. I'm going to be on the ground every single day, and that's my promise.
Well, Daniel Lurie, thank you for coming and talking with us.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you all for coming out.
I appreciate that everyone came out on a Friday. That is, people do things on Fridays. I have been asked by the powers that be to also suggest that if you like programming like this and you like Mission Local's coverage, to not hesitate to visit the site, missionlocal.org, and if you consider donating to the site so we can keep paying our reporters and paying our landlord, and so I can put beer in the fridge for my staff, I would be very grateful. Thank you, Kevin.